So with that upbringing, with that kind of a father that's just grinding, driving, like nothing's ever enough, boom, then you come in and you're telling stories about you and Vince is also a little bit of a complicated guy, right? Vince McMahon is not there's a lot of weird, and I'm not even going the weird side. I'm just talking, he's a complicated guy on how he is. What was it behind closed doors with your relationship with Vince that made it work? Mm-hmm. Because this guy's a big personality, larger than life. I don't know what he's worth today. I think he's $7-8 billion. I don't know his net worth because he sold it for $10.6 billion or $11 billion when he sold it.
Yes.
And it's funny, Endeavor bought both of them, right? They bought UFC and they bought, WWE, which what a long term. If they do it right, and I know Ari's a brilliant guy, so he'll do it right. But how was your relationship with Vince, and what things did you pick up from him, specifically with the relationship behind closed doors?
The relationship with Vince and I was a great relationship because it was based on I'm willing to work for every dollar. I'll tell you a story about Vince too as well that really helped expand the aperture of my brain in terms of business. But our relationship with Vince and I, it was about the work. I'm willing to put in the work, and I have a tremendous, boundless respect for the business of pro wrestling. That is so deeply important to him. That's his life, it's his world, it's his blood. And I grew up in the business of pro wrestling. My grandfather wrestled for Vince's dad in the 70s. My dad wrestled for Vince in the 80s. So I went into this with a tremendous amount of respect and reverence, willing to put in the work. Let's get to work. And I had shared this with Vince when I became The Rock and things started to take off for me. He said, "What's next?" I said, "I feel what's next is to take this brass ring and take it to places it's never been." He said, "Where's that?" I said, "I don't know. Let's figure it out together." So I'll share this one story with you guys, and you'll appreciate this too. I was coming up, and my very first contract with the WWE, with Vince that I signed with him, was a 5-year contract for $150,000 a year.
How old are you at this time?
24.
Okay.
Okay. 150 grand a year.
So 750 is what you're signing.
750. However, keep in mind, not only taxes, but also in that world of pro wrestling, I had to pay for everything. So I pay for hotel and food and transportation.
Wait, so when you're on the road 250, he's not covering the rooms and
Not then.
Okay. Not the
Not
first
then.
contract.
It's different now. So, and again, 150 grand per year is great. When you're wrestling 250 dates a year, do the math.
Broke.
What you're getting per match.
Right.
And it was what it was. It was an opportunity for me. Look, I came from $7, so this, great. It was time to renegotiate. And a couple of wrestlers at that time, about 3 years later, as I became The Rock, newly minted The Rock, it was time he wanted to renegotiate my contract about 2 to 3 years in. A couple of wrestlers at that time had their own agents. I chose not to have an agent. He said, "Are you going to have an agent? Are you looking for an agent?" I said, "I'm not. I'd like to negotiate with you directly." And how we met was with a handshake, and I believe how we're going to do this is with a handshake. Handshakes are very important to me, as I know everybody in this room. So I always say my handshake is better than anything I ever sign. It's right here. So he said, "Great, I love that. I respect it." He said, "What are you thinking?" And I said, "Who's the highest paid, if you don't mind me asking, between us, who's the highest paid on the roster?" He said, "Stone Cold Steve Austin." I said, "Okay." I said, "If you don't mind me asking, what's his guarantee?" He said, $1 million. I went, "Okay. I want 2. So, oh, I know, the balls of that kid. So he said, $2 million? I said, "Yes." "Guaranteed?" "Yes." And he said, "I'm just curious, where do you get that from? Like, what are you figuring out in your mind?" And I said, "Well, I love Steve, I respect him, but if he's getting $1 million, where I see myself going is past $1 million, I think it should be 2. And he went, "Okay, I understand that logic." He said, "Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to put you in contact with one of our executives. And I need you to take a couple of months, if it takes that long, because I was on the road. He goes, I need you to understand the business. I need you to understand the business, this side of the business, from top to bottom, all the economics.
Oh, wow.
I want you to understand that. I want you to understand our cost, overhead. I want you to look at what's allocated to the board.
What a great thing to do.
Yes. I want you to take the time and put in the work that you say you're committed to. In the ring, yes, I expect that from you, but now I want you to learn the business. Once you learn this business, then you come back to me. And then we'll talk about what the renegotiation.
Who was the executive? Was that a CFO?
It was like a CFO.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. So you learned the money aspect of the business.
Yes.
Got it.
Exactly. What the overhead costs are, what the costs are every venue we go into, what the cost of the venue is, what the state tax is, what the allocation for all the wrestlers is going to be, that percentage of what the gate is that particular night. I didn't take 3 months. I mean, maybe it was just 2 weeks, and it was baptism by fire, and I learned to absorb as much as I could about the business. I went back to Vince, and I thanked him. I gave him a big hug. I said, I understand now. I'd like to match it at $1 million, what Steve is getting. Thank you for taking me through it. And we had a great conversation. And he said, how much do you think you're going to make this year? I said, well, my guarantee is $1 million. I've been averaging about 50% over my guarantee, so maybe 1.5. He went, okay. Now that you've taken yourself through that, now you understand the business, you're going to make $15 million this year.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
You're not expecting this.
No, but he already did the math. He could see where it goes.
Wow.
You're going to make $15 million.
Life changer. What was your reaction when he says that?
Holy shit.
That's I mean, from 150 a year to 15 million. That's 100x in income.
That was crazy. But that was, by the time we hit about 1999, 2000, wrestling had a boom period at that time. Yeah.
By the way, you know wrestling, I think if I'm not mistaken, wrestling's YouTube channel for sports and entertainment, I think it gets the most views.
Number one.
It's number one, right?
Yes.
It gets the most views. I don't know how many subscribers they have, but you'll see videos, 288 million views, 263 million views. It's not like it's a easy thing to do. That's pretty interesting.
If there's one thing you're going to get from this interview with The Rock and I, we both love America. We had 2 big flags at our event. He's got a flag in his gym and everywhere he goes. This is the USA gear, limited edition for the rest of the year. If you love America, sport this USA gear. On the side it says Future Looks Bright. On the back it says Valuetainment. On the side it's got the American flag. We got the shirts. We got the flip-flops. These are the only flip-flops I wear when I'm at the house and walking the dogs. It feels amazing with the gel in it. So if you love America, if you believe the future looks bright, if you love Valuetainment, click on the link above or below. Go wear some of the gear and tag us because we share the pictures on the podcast all the time. So go to vtmerch.com and place your order.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.